Lucy Vinnis facing some sharp criticism over homeless encampment sweeps. That's where belongings are removed from campsites. Scrutiny that came to a head back on Saturday's Homeless Persons Remembrance Day memorial service. A protester even throwing a bowl of chili at Mayor Vinnis as she spoke.
Mayor Vinnis confronted by protesters as the community grapples with the number of people who have died while homeless in Eugene.
We must do this work together. Turning our backs on one another is not a pathway towards a resolution.
Activists argue that the city's encampment sweeps, citing 5 sweeps that took place this summer, displaced vulnerable people, leaving them without shelter, resources, or a support network. They say at least 4 homeless people died as a result of sweeps that took place along the railroad tracks off Seneca Road. Activists claim these displacements, especially during severe weather, exacerbate the risks of exposure, overdose, and other life-threatening conditions.
Especially in the winter, they're displaced without shelter, they're displaced without, survival gear, and that can kill somebody, like being exposed to the elements, especially when police are, or the city or contractors, whoever it may be, is sweeping people during severe temperatures, which has been happening.
Saturday's annual memorial service for homeless deaths in Eugene was marked by grief, solidarity, and calls for systemic change.
There are people on that list that I loved that died this year. And
Blake
so this
Burrell.
was a funerary service.
Blake
for them.
Burrell.
And when I heard those names, I heard people I loved.
It's important that the people who write the bills, who fund the grants, understand that there's a real price to pay for these people that die. This is a failure. This is our community failure, not just a governance failure. And people are mad at our governance, saying that our governance failed them and our police policed them. But if the will of the people were to come forward and people were to exercise that will, we could make those changes.
Protesters silently turned their backs on Mayor Vinnis during her remarks, where she read the names of Eugene's 64 homeless individuals who died in 2024, that number down from 84 homeless deaths in 2023.
Having her speak, it wasn't for homeless people, that was like a direct FU to the people surviving outside that have lost their friends and their community members. And so when we heard that she was the one that was going to be speaking, it was like, she shouldn't have a voice there. She's literally reading her victims' names off of a list. And that's how it felt.
In a statement, Vinnis referred to this protest action as orchestrated and appropriate, adding that their frustration and anger that the city has not been able to meet the needs of people living in our public spaces is completely understandable. I share their frustration. An unknown individual threw a bowl of chili at Vinnis and overturned a table. Vinnis responded to that incident saying, "That was not acceptable, but it did not deter me from speaking and reading names to the tolling of a bell of those we have lost." Advocates are calling for immediate alternatives to the city's current approach of sweeping camps and throwing away personal items, like more safe sleep sites without barriers and access to basic services and support. Or they say people will continue to die on Eugene's streets.
There's going to be more names next year and more names the year after. This isn't a problem that we can police ourselves out of. These are people dying on our streets from lack of services, from lack of shelter, and greed. Flat out greed.
In Eugene, I'm Tiffany Lewis reporting.
According to Lane County's homelessness dashboard, 65% of Eugene's homeless population remains unsheltered. In an interview with Mayor Vinnis last week, she did acknowledge Eugene's dubious role, the nation's leader in homeless people per capita, also celebrating work done to address housing shortages in the city. Vinnis's term does end next month when Karin Knudsen will take over as the city's new mayor. And the Salvation Army of
Okay, so this is the first time there has ever been anger and protest at the Homeless Remembrance Vigil, the year-end, which has been done for many years. Anyway, I filmed the whole thing on YouTube. It's there.